Welcome to the Blue BRZ podcast hosted by yours truly. My name is Eli. I hope everyone is having a wonderful night. If you're new to the car scene or new to podcasts, you're in the right place. We're going to be talking about everything from first builds all the way to first blown motors here. So I hope you stay along for the ride. This will be our second episode of the season. We'll be talking about car scene photography. As I know, many of us love to take great photos of our cars, but a little professional help can go a long way. Joined here today with me, we have three wonderful guests that have a lot more knowledge into the photography field than I do. If you all would kindly introduce yourselves.
Yes, my name is Dominic Quintella. I did car photography full-time at a Dodge Jeep dealership in Jersey City for about 2 years. I got laid off due to COVID, but I still managed to do it part-time on the side, and I'm going to school for IT. I love cars since I was 1 year old, collecting Hot Wheels and Matchbox cars, and kind of got into cameras later in life. With my first paycheck at 18, I bought a Sony a6000 and just kind of took it from there.
My name is Cody, and pretty much what I do is full-time videography and photography. I work for a company called CARID.com, and then pretty much they're their head videographer and editor. And then on the side, I do freelance photography for pretty much any owner of that sort. Kind of got into photography at a young age. Wasn't really into cars at that time. Like, obviously, I had got into Legos, had a bunch of cars through there, Hot Wheels, but can't really work on cars too well when you're young, you know. So kind of got into cars later on in college, and then got into the car scene through there. Yeah.
My name is Jhysen Alonso. I'm actually a medical student for ultrasound, cardiovascular to be specific. But I do photography on the side. Mainly automotive. I do portraits also, but that's very rare. I got into photography probably around, I think, sophomore year of college, so that wasn't really that long ago, probably like 2 or 3 years ago. I thought photography was cool, like way back when, but I didn't have a camera up until my mom gave me her old Nikon. So since then, I've just been shooting cars, because I got into cars around high school. Everybody around me had cool cars. I still don't have a cool car, but that's fine. But besides that, I've just been sticking automotive photography since then.
All right, fantastic. You guys all sound like you have, great stories and great startups. I would just want to ask a little bit more about what really inspired you guys. Jhysen, you got into that a little bit more than Cody and Dom, but Dom specifically, you want to talk a little bit more about what inspired you when you first started out with photography and everything?
Yeah, honestly, what inspired me was just getting my first camera. Just kind of like, just taking a couple walks to the park or taking some street shots or portraits of my friends. So that's mainly what I did, just urban photography, going to abandoned places in New York and any place that I kind of went with my family. But I kind of fell in love with the car photography when I went to Celebration, Florida. They had like this huge car event with like these really exotic cars from like the 80s and everything like that. So I just started taking pictures. I really didn't know how big the car scene was with photography. So I kind of changed my whole mindset and kind of ran with that, because street photography was kind of lonely. Like, I kind of just posted pictures and not many people followed it. But as soon as I started to kind of do car photography, there was a big community. So I really loved the love and support.
Nice. Did you feel like you got welcomed into the car community once you started posting more about, street photography or getting more involved with the community?
100%. I actually met this guy on Facebook. He called himself Band Photographer. He came from New York, and he would just kind of like shoot these real estate things in Bayonne, and that's kind of how he made his money. And he was like, "Hey, I have this this car rental company, Logs Autos. They're doing an event at this horse raceway or whatever, and if you want to come along with me." And it was pretty cool because we had a ride in an AMG GTS, I think it was.
Oh, okay.
And we arrived there, and there was always Bossman SVJ was there, all these other people that I didn't even know at the time. And I kind of just took pictures for fun. And one of the cars that I shot was a M6. And the crazy thing is, all this would honestly come back in the future. That M6, a year later, he was a master tech at New Age, and he actually asked me to come in and try to start a YouTube for them. So they came up with this idea, and they paid me full time for a short while in the summer to just kind of go and do vlogs and do fun stuff for them. So it was honestly a great experience. And one of my clients that I still have is Lugs Autos. Whenever they get new or used cars, they just let me know to come by, and it's literally 3 minutes from my house. So they get some cool cars as well.
That's nice. Sounds like everything kind of came full circle for you. Like started out with that M6, and then a year later, you said, right, started doing a YouTube channel for him and everything. That's really awesome. Opportunities that just presented themselves, and you didn't even know at first they were kind of disguised, and then they grew into something else.
I literally just went there for fun. Thought it was awesome. I got to eat some good food and just saw amazing cars, and it honestly just came full circle.
That's definitely the best part. Cody, I'm so sorry, kind of held you up for a second, but yeah, I wanted to ask you as well, what inspired you and everything. What kind of really got you started into the photography field? If it was just the community itself, or was it something specific, personal into your life?
Yeah. Similar to Dom, I kind of started off with doing street photography and a lot of landscapes. But one person that inspired me was actually my dad. He didn't do it professionally, but part of his business was taking photos of horses because he would sell them to people. So I then got into cameras myself and started off with a film camera, a Nikon film camera, and slowly just started playing around, doing it all by myself. And it was just some kind of way to express yourself, I felt personally. But for the cars, it wasn't until college that I went to my first car show out in Florida, Titan Motorsports, and the amount of just exotics and GTRs that were out there, and just overall builds in general, really fascinated me. And then growing up watching the Fast and Furious saga, pretty much always wanted to be around cars, but that was kind of my first opportunity really to be around cars. So when I kind of joined the community, it really felt very welcoming, honestly, and it's just been a joyride since, honestly.
Have you had any other personal experiences that you thought because I remember you saying at first you weren't really into cars, and you think that was the first experience that got you into them, you finally got interested more so, or was it you always had a small interest in them, just not as much as maybe when that first time happened?
I would say at least for me, when I say interested or involved, it's I've always been interested in cars since I was a child.
Okay.
But there's only so much you can get involved is when you're a child or middle school going through high school,
you
I
can't
had friends
drive
that had really nice car. Yeah, exactly. My first car was a Toyota Corolla, but I had friends that had M3s and all that,
but
so but there's only so much you can do obviously with a Corolla, but pretty much when I hit that first car show, I kind of really felt immersed in that, and that kind of opened a lot of doors, and it was just kind of getting to meet everyone, talking to a lot of different people. And that's just honestly, as I would say, as we all three of us know, even you, Eli, the more car shows you go to, the more people you're going to meet, and connections and all that. And so to Dom, that whole story about going full circle, I met some of my greatest friends, through the car community, and then in the end, it was just for fun doing photos, but now it's through them, you get more and more connections for photo shoots. So
yeah, 100%.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Jhysen, do you want to throw your input on this as well? Because I know you've definitely had some stories that got you inspired into the car scene and just in photography as well. So
yeah, as far as photography, I mean, like I said, my mom gave me her camera, and she would take photos of the family and landscapes and stuff. Nothing professional or anything, but it
got you your interest in it, right?
Yeah, I played with the camera and stuff. I knew how to use it, but it wasn't a thing I was ever thinking about doing. But probably what really got me into actually doing car photography was actually my first meet, if anything, because I saw people walking around with cameras. I was oh, that's cool. And I knew a couple people that were already car photographers then, that came from my high school. So it was cool seeing them do their thing, and then seeing it on Instagram and whatnot. I was oh, that'd be pretty cool to do. And my mom wasn't using her camera at the time, so I was oh, I'll just take it. So yeah,
she doesn't know, it won't hurt her. I totally get that.
Oh no, she knew. She was oh, I'll just ask her back whenever. I was yeah, sure.
Yeah.
never to be seen again.
Yeah, I ended up selling the camera. Nah, she told me to, so I didn't steal it.
I wanted to transition this actually into a question that I personally wrote down because I wanted to ask this. What are some of the good and bad experiences you guys have had in the car scene? Cody, I know you're a little bit older than us, so you definitely have some more experience in the car scene. I would not throw in shade when I say that. I'm being honest.
Yo, make me feel old, yo. I
I said a
appreciate
little
that,
bit.
though.
I
I
said a
appreciate that.
little bit. I'm just saying you have wisdom. You have
All right.
experience. Yeah.
There you go. That's a nicer way to lead it off, you know. You
Yeah,
got
there you
some
go.
wisdom.
Okay,
You're
I'm
not just
sorry.
old as dirt.
I'll fix it up next
No,
time.
definitely there's positive, negative experiences, I think, from all parties. For me, some of my most positive experiences are just in general the getting to know the owner, especially if it's a new client. I thoroughly enjoy just as I'm doing the photo shoot, getting to know the owner, getting to understand the build, getting the build process, like the whole story behind it.
Yeah, again, the
So
whole
that
insight.
yeah, exactly. I mean, you when we first met Eli, I thought that was like a great, like we nonstop talking while we were, taking photos.
Yeah, the entire time we just got talking and we
Yeah,
were taking photos
exactly.
and everything.
And that's just, just probably one of my favorite things about doing, at least for me, private photo shoots. Like that's mainly what I do. Like I love doing whatchamacallit, shows and meets, but the one-on-one is really like the big positive upside for me. And more negatives, I mean, we also kind of experienced that. Luckily, we didn't have to deal with it, but our cops, luckily Kearney was kind enough to let us off or not bother us. But I've had plenty of shoots where,
Where they
like
kind of kicked you out of the place or
yeah,
something.
exactly. Like, I mean, I've even had people get tickets, honestly, for no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it wasn't even like we were on private property, but they've strictly just given out tickets. But yeah, no, it's just, you always get good cops and bad cops, and that's just part of the game, honestly. But
What
yeah,
about
I would
clients?
say,
Have you had like negative experience like with the clients? Because I could understand with the cops, with everything that's been going on.
yeah, there's definitely those experiences with clients. I'm never gonna call out anyone, but I will say I had this one client where pretty much drove out about an hour and a half. That's a quick story and all that. Drove an hour out to kind of like the Bronx from where I'm located. Client was around an hour and a half late. Took around 2 hours worth of photos, I would say.
Right.
And when we were done, I was like, all right, like how would you like to, pay? And he's like, oh, I thought it was free. And I'm like, ha,
No
you
shot.
yeah, exactly. I'm like, I exactly like pointed out right in the messages, and he's like, oh, I'm like, yeah, dude, like so what's happening? So that's the only time that's happened to me, but it's definitely an interesting experience.
If you don't mind me asking, did he end up paying, or was it?
No, like a huge beef happened on Instagram, and he had a bunch of people come after me and my girl, and like saying just a bunch of like just BS. And so I deleted the photos. I never got paid. He said that he was gonna send me PayPal, but he never did. So I just scrapped it, left it at that.
Man, dude.
I think
Hey,
the
your
other
photographers, people.
dude, like like if you're reaching out for me, like that's one thing. But I think another thing also, and it's not that it's like a negative experience, but personally for me, I don't know about you guys, but I don't really shoot a whole lot of exotics, honestly, because I've had a bunch of exotic people personally tell me that like pretty much they almost have like a chip on their shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking that because they have that exotic that they don't feel the need to pay me, or that
That's
like I should feel that I should feel that I like that I should give them a free shoot because they have an exotic.
Oh, man.
And pretty much to this day, like that's why I don't shoot. Like you won't pretty much see any exotics on my car or on my page,
Right.
just because I feel like maybe the exotic owners
Those negative
don't
experiences.
appreciate it as much,
Yeah.
like if they're okay with phone photos, like yo, go right ahead, like take your own phone photos, I don't care, like like I don't need to take photos with your exotic, but don't feel that you like owe people something or people owe you something because you have an exotic, so. And I'm not
100%,
saying
but
that exotic owners are rude or mean. That's just my personal experience, like I know plenty of people who own them that are perfectly nice and awesome people, but just in terms of like actually exchanges about photography and all that. So which is unfortunate, so.
That's the thing, though. It's like no matter who you are, like for us, like it's a service, sort of. Like like
it's 100%.
don't ever think like unless like I'm reaching out. Like the only times I don't charge people is if I literally reach out to them, like, hey, I'll do a free shoot or whatever, like as a favor or whatever it may be.
I wouldn't even say do that, man. Like, don't cut yourself short. Like,
yeah,
I would do a
like,
discount.
Like, I don't
do a
do
discount.
That all the
don't
time,
do it for free. Like that's what if I reach out to someone, I'll offer them a discount, but I do this for a living for a corporate company. So why would I do it for free on my own, So that at least for me personally, like if someone else wants to do it as a hobby, like I have plenty of friends that do more hobby photography, like sure, do that. But for me, like I pay my bills this way, So there's overhead costs with everything. So like at least that's how I see it. Like it doesn't matter what type of car. And personally, I feel that people who have built their cars, and like I would say as to who we normally shoot in general, they kind of respect and understand the work that goes into our line of work.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Like especially with your example, the exotic cars, like you have all this money for your car or whatever, but you can't pay.
Yeah,
whatever it is for the photographer, like that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
I never understood that.
I mean, that goes into the stigma, right? That like rich people don't spend their money on anything, but then they have like,
but then they spend like a $250,000 Lambo or something, But me giving you a discount off a $200 photo shoot, like, yeah, really? But it's the same stigma where, like, say you got a car that's fully built, and it's like you got $3,000 bags, $3,000 wheels, wrapped, the whole 9 yards, but you can't spend, $150 or whatever the photographer charges. It's kind of just funny how that works.
I actually want to get Dom's input on this because Dom, you work with exotics like a lot, so I'm curious what you have to say on this.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I've seen exotic owners that are humble, and I've honestly there's some times where I want to shoot a car or whatever, and I happen to be there. Say I'm shooting someone else's car and I'm already getting paid. I honestly just want to take pictures of, say, an evented or whatever the case is. So I never even offered, but there's some exotic owners that actually did ask me what do you charge, and I actually did have one where I gave him my price, and he ended up paying me double. And he was like, this is gonna be our price for now on. I want you to do a couple other shoots, and kind of opened me up to valuing myself more. So having the other exotic owners like, I pull up my car to an event and I could just get free pictures anyway because people need content. I don't have the same mindset as I used to when I first started.
Right.
The one thing that does irritate me is like when I get paid to shoot for an event and the car owner goes and posts the picture that I sent them, and I didn't even ask them for money because I got paid from the event, but then they go and don't give me credit on the picture.
Oh, that's huge right there.
That's the worst.
That's huge. That's number one mistake is using photographers' photos without credit.
Yeah, there was.
I know a lot of people add like the watermark on their photos now, right, and everything like that.
Yeah,
or even just like the little credits. Yeah, I know I've seen it happen, right, where people have actually like gone like kind of like cropped it out and everything.
Yep.
And
all the time. God.
Yeah. And I feel like you already like, I don't know how much you want to really claim that as your content, that you would really go to the length of that. But I feel like, you already paid for the shoot most likely, or, you took that person out for them to shoot your car, and then you kind of just discredit them.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't really sit right. Or at least add them in the bio.
I just kind of like to think of what's going on behind that person's head for them to not, want to, credit you or whatever, and just kind of post it on their own. Like, what is it going to differ from you posting just a regular picture from just tagging the person in the description or putting their watermark?
Yeah, because like, at least for me, I always make it very important to, let's say I'm posting a regular photo for whatever day. If you don't have a watermark, I'll at least tag you in the photo and then put below my caption, photographer so-and-so. So that way, you know the person that clicks on that photo at least has like a reference to who shot it and X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, if they really like the picture, or they see it on their explore page, they're like, oh wow, this is a really nice picture. Then they could just hit the tag button and see Cody Media or Jhysen on the thing, and just hit their page and go check them out.
Yeah, exactly. It's exposure for everyone, and sometimes I don't really understand why some people kind of take that away, but to each their own.
Agreed.
Yeah, I've also done probably my worst negative experience. We hashed it out, but I went for at the time I used to kind of like do work with this other photographer, but he said, oh, this big influencer in the GTR community basically wants someone to do a video shoot. The videographer bailed. I never did a video before, so I told him, this is going to be like my first video. I know you just want a couple second video with music over it for New Year's or whatever, but I can't do like a crazy cinematic edit. He's like, yeah, that's all I want. I was like, okay. He was like, I need you at this. He told me like 2 hours in advance. He's like, I need you at this place at this time, all the way in Brooklyn. And I
was
live
already
in Jersey.
sus.
Yeah.
Just 2 hours, giving you a 2 hour heads up before, like. Oof.
Yeah, and he was rushing me to get there. And after I did the video, I was also recommending, he wanted videos of himself, kind of like on top of the GTR with like liquor while it was doing flames. And I kind of suggested like, hey, we could do a picture this way and stuff like that. And he kind of just like was ignoring me the whole time. Wouldn't even like go and like say like that's a good idea, or just give me a minute, I'm on the phone. He was just like ignoring me the whole time. So I was like, you know what? Not even my energy. Did the video, and I started to talk to the shop owner or whatever, and we got cool. And he ended up paying me and not even the influencer.
Oh wow!
And
Wow.
this video ended up going on GTR, this thing called Car Instagram or something, like 3.8 million followers, and he credited himself as the video. Like, didn't even
that's
credit me
whack.
or anything.
Wow.
It ended up going on like probably like 50 pages, and all I got was no credit and like $100.
Damn, that's just messed up.
That's
Yeah.
rough. That's
Yeah.
rough when that happens.
Yeah, I see that happen all the time though. Like that's the thing. It's like like you said, like what goes through people's minds when they do that?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, exactly. Like, yo,
that's
you
crazy.
obviously you're taking it from this source and you see the credit. So why are you not adding that information?
Yeah, I mean, if someone goes and posts my page and stuff like that, or even just puts me in the link, like in the description of the video, I go and share their page a whole bunch more, which gets them more exposure. I don't, and all my friends and everything like that. I don't understand why they wouldn't want more exposure.
Yeah. No, I feel
I think
you on
it's
that.
the whole trying to act cool kind of guy thing. It's like
Yeah, it's like
I
an
don't need
ego.
credit.
But
Yeah, and I don't know. It's some people are like that, but let's chime away a little bit from the negativity. So this, I feel like we're getting a little too negative. So So this next part, I actually wanted to ask you guys about. This isn't on the template, by the way. So this was actually about what do you guys recommend to beginner photographers? I thought it'd be nice to toss in something educational, something to help out the new photographers that are trying to get started. What do you recommend to them? Maybe like camera specs or whatever it is, just something for them.
I mean, I guess for me, just kind of like, I guess, see exactly what you're going to shoot. If you like night pictures, go with, I guess in my opinion, would be a Sony for low light. But I mean, all cameras nowadays are all pretty advanced, and you could find ones that have advantages. Just kind of find a brand that you like, pick a camera that's in your budget, and if you're into car photography, just go out and shoot your own car. You just bring it to places like your park in your town or whatever. Just go take pictures. Have your friend drive in his car and take rollers. Just kind of experiment with it. You can just kind of like ask your friend, hey, can I take pictures of your car, or take pictures of you or whatever at the specific spot, and just kind of get experience.
Solid advice.
I would definitely agree with that. I think for me, my biggest thing would be honestly just shoot. Like the more experience, the more time that you get behind the camera and really understanding everything, how it works, like ISO, shutter speed, aperture, anything that you can think of. And luckily, I mean, I don't know about for me, but for you guys for sure, like they're wearing a whole bunch of tutorials out, you know, when YouTube was first coming out. So, but now, like, you know, Google, YouTube, you can find anything now online that could just easily help you. But it's all about just shooting constantly, and whether that's using your own car or your buddy's car, or just going out and just having a blast, testing it out, shoot. That's how you're gonna get better. Like, no matter what, as over time, if you continue to do something, you're gonna have to get better no matter what. And if you're not, maybe it's not for you. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Man, they map them like that.
But honestly, like, if anyone was to do anything, whether it's photography or anything in life, whatever you put your mind to, you know, if you put your mind to something and continually practicing it, you know, on a daily basis or weekly basis, you will gain experience and get better. So
Right.
no, like,
Yeah.
and that's also another thing. Keep your head up high, because I know a lot of people. I talk to a lot of photographers that are up and coming and all that, and they get discouraged, you know. And I'm like, yo, you just don't worry about like what other people say. Don't worry about the numbers about Instagram, you know, because Instagram is just broken, honestly. But yeah, just be confident, know your work, and just continually just shooting. Like, that's all you can do.
Yeah, I was gonna say basically the same thing. Like, it's all about experience, you know? Like, even if you suck in the beginning, which everyone will, the thing is, like, if you, like, stop yourself early by, like, oh, you know, my photos aren't coming out that good, I don't feel like shooting, just go shoot anyway. Even if it's at a meet, you know? It doesn't have to be with one-on-one sessions or anything. Like, you could just go out and shoot. And the whole thing with YouTube, like, nowadays everything's on YouTube. You can literally learn so much on YouTube. So I guess the biggest thing is literally learning the basics, even if it's from YouTube or from going through experience and just going out and shoot. Learn the basics, because I see way too many people like that claim to be car photographers on Instagram, but like half the time,
Car
like 50% of the photo is like the floor,
Mhm.
and then it's like the car's not even in focus. It's like, it's crazy. Like, learn the basics first. So
Yeah, or you'll have those people that say photographer in their bio. Even if they have a decent following, most of their pictures are from a phone, and you could tell.
yeah.
Another thing is
The iPhone photos.
yeah, you can
God.
tell right away. But mainly, even some shoots, not as often anymore. But when I first started out, I wouldn't notice at the time until it came to editing. But I would be like, oh, you know, I could have did this differently. You know, just kind of learn from what you shoot
Mhm.
and kind of analyze your picture compared to others and how you can improve.
Right.
Yeah, it all comes down to experience. Like, there was like so many shoots I had in the beginning that I was like, oh man, why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? Like, just take note of those things and apply them next time, you know? So it's all about like building up, like, just like experience. That's all it is. It's just experience.
I mean, if you go probably at any of us, like for me, it's 5-6 years. Like, if you go look at the first photo that I took at that car show that I spoke about down in Florida, like it's a 360, you know, maybe even a 720 change if we're gonna get even crazy. But like, it's a complete, like, you know, like everyone has those like phases too, you know, where they bump clarity up, you know, up to 100.
Oh my God.
and
I literally did that.
Are you calling out my first few Instagram photos?
It might be, I don't know if you did that or not, but if you did, I'm gonna call you out now.
Yeah,
of
I look good,
everyone-
okay?
Everyone, you know, like, and at the time you're like, yo, this is sick. And then it's like you get a realization, you know, from like another experienced photographer, and you're like, what are you doing?
That
Like,
is legitimately, that was actually me though. I'm not even lying. My first few photos, I turned up the clarity a bit, not gonna lie. And
Okay.
then I met Dom, and then Dom shot my car, and I was just, and he sent me the final, you know, the final photos that I did and everything. And I was like, you know, wow. That's what it should look like.
That's another good thing to take note of too. Like, for me personally, like, I did learn a lot by trying to figure out what other people did, like with their styles. Of course, it's important to have your own style, but to understand what other people did in their photos, especially with Instagram, because everything is up on Instagram. Like, you know, you don't want to compare yourself, but it'd be good to like reference other photos and take a look at how other people edit their things or do their shots and compose them and whatnot. You can learn a lot from even just Instagram, just looking at Instagram, looking at other photographers accounts, and like just taking taking note of like what they've done, and you could apply it for yourself too.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, don't be afraid to ask also. Like I always encourage people to hit me up. You know, like if I don't hit you up or get back to you, like apologies, but like if anyone ever has any questions, I'm usually like an open book. Like I always want to help people, you know, like I hate seeing people, you know, that ask questions and then they get kind of like thrown off a cliff, you know, like, you know, like no one gives them any help. I'm like, yo, like everyone's learning, you know, like it's
Exactly.
we were all there at one point. It's the same thing with building a car. Like no one knew exactly how to. Yeah, exactly. Like no one knew exactly what a turbo was when they first bought their first car, probably. But they learned like, oh, yo, what's that fucking giant ass thing in a Supra right there, yo? Like, yo, that's sick. It's like, oh, well, you see that thing goes, you know. So it's all the same. Like, yo, don't be afraid to ask questions to anyone.
Another thing that I realized about photographers or anyone that posts pictures is like the like secret location, which I hate.
Oh my god!
I know there's one that I have kept a secret, and then it's gotten out somehow. But you know, like if someone asks me, I'll tell them. But there's definitely ones where I can understand it because I have one that is very high radar on the cops, and I knew a friend who did this, and it completely got the whole spot ruined because it blew up and no one can shoot there again.
I think I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah,
I could probably guess what spot that is. Is that tunnel with the lights?
Oh no, it was Dom. I know is shot there, but he's never. I don't think you've ever shot there. It's at the Teardrop Memorial, actually. So the building was building was condemned on the inside, and you could sneak in between both the main buildings. Dom,
that's where we went. That one.
Yeah,
I
tried to explain it to Eli. I lived in Bale my whole life, so I knew about that spot before Instagram because it's like 3 minutes from my house.
Yeah.
And I used to, on my own in the summer in 2019, I used to park my car on the ramp, and the cops wouldn't even like pay no mind. I would just be like, you know, I'm taking pictures. Like, okay, take your time and everything like that. But I guess since it got so big, all these big names went there, had like dozens of people go there, so they kind of just fenced it up, so you couldn't even go on the ramp.
Well, I'm not even talking about the ramp. Like, if there was I'm guessing since you say you live there, there was a second building there, you know, that it was the both those buildings are condemned, and they actually blew up the second one where the bridge was.
Yeah, they had debris.
Yeah. So
I shot there a couple times too.
Dom, I meant to ask you that. Did they ever close off that area that we took by the water? Remember, I kind of just like drove up to like the sidewalk area.
There's posts there now.
Yeah, there's benches there now too. So you can't shoot those. So I guess you got your shots.
1 of 1. Let's go.
Wasn't the lip also?
Hey! We do not. No.
Wow, called them out on it.
You want to explain what happened?
Shots though. It was 5 shots.
I honestly felt so bad because I knew those bumps on 440 were terrible, but I didn't know.
It wasn't your fault though. Like I was already at. All right, so for people that don't know, my car is bagged, and I was at a higher ride height, right, than normal because I knew Bayonne has a lot of potholes, and so I aired up even higher than I normally ride, and I still managed to mess up my first front lip. Within it was exactly 22 hours of owning it.
Hey, the other day it makes for a great story. And fire photos, by the way. Dom killed it with that set. So
yeah, Dom, you killed it. Those, oh man.
And I mean, Cody, I'm gonna give you credit for the video that you posted that Eli's been posting all over TikTok.
Ooh, I much appreciate.
I watched that like probably like 5 times.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
I love that video. I'm sorry, I just had to toss that out there, dude. It was fantastic video, fire quality, by the way. Cody's up for videography, just saying.
Oh yeah, anytime.
All right, so now I actually wanted to segue into special events or just plan for the future, right? So do you guys have anything personally that you're looking forward to? I know it's a pandemic, so there's not much, but you know, something that you plan on shooting in the future or aspirations that you may have, just anything to toss out there. Dom, if you want to start.
Yeah. Last year, before COVID actually started, my friend was going to host an event, and he had this whole bar set up and everything like that, like free liquor, cars coming up and everything like that. And he was going to promote it, but then COVID happened and he had to cancel it. So I kind of never actually went and tried to do another event because of COVID. But really, nothing on my end.
Just flying low on the radar right now, just chilling.
Yeah, if people message me for car pictures, I'll give a location and everything like that. Or even if someone wants to collab or has an idea, I'm down to do it. But right now, I just mainly shoot for my clients. That's about it.
Gotcha. Cody, what about you? Anything in the agenda?
Right now, nothing really. I mean, just the normal kind of monthly shoots that I always have. But I think the one big thing that I'm hoping happens this year, unfortunately, it didn't happen this year due to COVID, but SEMA. I was there in 2019 for the company that I work for, doing coverage of that, and unfortunately, we didn't get to go this year. So I'm really hoping to go back to SEMA because honestly, like for anyone in the car community, like if you have a chance to go, highly recommend it. Like highly recommend it.
I was honestly sad that I missed out on the 2019 one.
Yeah,
I never got to go.
I've
Yeah,
never been.
It's really cool. Like you really get to see some high quality builds, and don't get me wrong, there's also the craziness of SEMA, and you realize some of the funny things behind the scenes and how like all the lifted trucks actually like their drive shafts aren't even connected.
Yeah,
you know,
so
and how like half the cars honestly are trailered in because they don't even run. You know, but in general, like just the overall like kind of experience that you get from being at that large of a venue. You know,
Yeah, you kind of see a little of everything.
Yeah, exactly. And like for the company that I work for, it's like we sell everything and anything. Like we're not like a niche website, so it's like I had to be everywhere. And I could maybe tell you a couple different builds, but I was working every single day videoing it, and then I'd edit a little bit at night. Like I can't honestly like remember it almost fully because I'd literally just scan through all the halls, film it, and then go on to the next one. So yeah, it was definitely a feat, but it's an awesome experience for sure.
I definitely want to go one day. That sounds like just an awesome event to attend. Jhysen, you want to talk about anything? You got any plans or anything in the books? What's going on?
Well, honestly, like I said, I'm a medical student, so I'm kind of busy. Honestly,
That's right. Yeah, you know,
even like the whole reason I didn't like have any like things written down for today was because I'm at the hospital now for clinicals, so that's what I'll be doing up until like the end of the winter. So but I guess really, I mean, it's just getting back into shoots because you know it's winter, everyone's cars are away, there's really nothing to do.
right.
Besides that, I guess just going back to shows, like I did want to go to H2O, but you know, I think it's a little too hot now. So
we can definitely talk about H2O. That's the topic.
I mean, I don't know about that.
Don't get me started.
Yeah, I mean, like the thing is, I'd never been, and I wanted to go. I was gonna go last year, but like I had midterms that time, so I couldn't. Like it was just not smart too. So
right.
And then it's just like seeing everything that's been going on with that. It's like a little too hot, so I don't know if I'd even go. But
yeah, I'm not willing to pay a couple tickets just to go see what's going on.
Yeah, you know, or get involved with any of that.
Friends clapped out build, and then he gets arrested, but you're chilling.
Exactly.
I'm
joking.
Don't actually
go
do
down in the daily and just be undercover and watch everyone else get taken.
But besides that, I mean, I'm like good friends with the owner of Vorch Society, Brandon. So I do a lot of his media for him now. So I guess I'm looking forward to those shows because those shows always turn out good.
I think that was the first time we met, right? It was at a Vorch Society meet.
Yeah, in person. Yeah, it was at that Cars and Bagels that we had in Wayne. That was a good show.
That meet blew up. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was the first one actually, and that's why it got hectic because we weren't expecting that many people.
Yeah, you guys had to move it to the LA lot. I remember it was so many people.
Like ghetto lot. It was so. Honestly, I hated shooting that day. It was like straight up sunlight. Like it was just all bad.
Yeah.
I got so dark. But yeah, no, just like getting back into shows is like that'd be fun. But you know, with working at the hospital now and everything, I guess we'll just see. But yeah, that's basically it.
Hey man, I'm hoping that your studies go well. You know, save my life in the future, maybe.
Yeah,
we'll see about that.
Yeah, well.
But no, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Do you have any events coming up, Eli?
Oh, great
Oh,
question.
me? Yeah, that's a great question, actually. No, my car doesn't. No.
No.
Just no. Just no.
Yeah, no, yeah.
No.
Honestly, I've had people hit me up asking to do a shoot and just go out with friends. But I do want to get my transmission sorted out right now. For people that don't know, this is going to be a first. I guess I announced it that my transmission is getting worse by the day. And
Oh no, I didn't know that.
yeah. Right. But yeah, so my transmission's getting worse, and now it's actually starting to give me problems when I'm shifting. Before it was kind of just like a sound. Now I'm actually getting shifting problems. So I'm probably gonna have to get it rebuilt or just check it out, see what's causing it. But maybe something for the future,
Yeah, I actually do remember that day that we shot in Bayonne at that spot with like the golf course in the back. Remember, we had to stay till like 9 o'clock because your car was acting up.
Okay, listen, that was the tune.
Damn.
Just straight drop.
Why am I getting roasted, dude?
By the
Yo,
way,
just
because of
kicking
your
them
car.
out. Oh man.
I feel like everyone here has seen my car at like a moment of struggle, but I just like to
literally
say the
within,
photos came out fire.
Oh,
yeah, literally like within 10 minutes of our shoot earlier beginning of the year,
Yeah.
I didn't realize you couldn't get out of your driveway because it wasn't going in gear, but I mean, I thought you were just taking your time.
It just didn't want to go. I was trying to put it in first gear. I just kept getting kicked out every time. It was just like my car was telling me no driving today. I don't know.
Yeah,
Guess we got lucky then.
Yeah.
I guess we got lucky, Eli, because I don't think we've ever had problems with your car when we shot.
That's true. Yeah. Cody's
We've
the only.
never-
I've never had
We've
problems.
never
with
had an
Cody.
issue. Yeah.
That's the only time.
That's so funny.
But every other time, even with wait, I'm trying to think. No, I don't think I did with Tyler either. But speaking of which, Tyler, if you're listening to this, Tyler Visuals on Insta, everyone. He was all supposed to be part of this podcast. He does fantastic photography, and he actually, I don't know if you guys saw the photo I posted, like a few times over. It was by the lake where I drove on the rocks to kind of get. Yeah, fire.
The one with the cop?
Yeah, the one where the cop showed up. That
Yeah,
was the
that was
TikTok
dope.
that blew up. Yeah. It was not fun getting out of there. If Tyler was on here, you could tell you guys. Going back up, so the first time we went down, I had my nose facing the water, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I tried to back up. I actually got maybe halfway up until my wheels started digging into the dirt.
Ooh.
You're just digging yourself
It's
in.
stones,
Yeah,
right?
that's digging
bad.
myself a
That's
grave,
bad.
man.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's when you know it's about to go south.
Yeah. And then it ended up with I went forward, right? I had to put my nose forward for me to get out, and I was still kind of digging myself. It ended up with Tyler just in the back, kind of pushing my wing up as like force on the car.
Oh
Oh
no!
my god.
At least grab the bumper. Don't grab the wheel.
But then we got out after 10, 15. But we got out. It was definitely one of my favorite shoots. I was worried the entire time that just it's not gonna happen because you have the e-brake up, but I was just thinking, what if it
The
rolls?
water.
Yeah, that's what I was
Yeah, the
thinking, where
water.
this was going.
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, oh,
Every time
I
I
was
posted a
backing up,
TikTok,
but
yeah, every time I posted a TikTok or a photo of it, someone was like, what if it rolled in? I'm like, why would you say that? Why?
Yeah. Why are you trying to jinx this right now?
every time I go on your TikTok, the comments oh my god, they're like 8 years old. Does it have a
Yeah.
supercharger? Does it have a turbo? What'd you do to it? Every time, man.
I mean, it's fun, right? I get to I try to respond and try to be nice about it, right? I get a lot of people that ask what parts are on the car and things like that.
Mhm.
But Instagram has to be the worst with it. Sometimes I kind of wish I made a build sheet that I just posted up somewhere, because I can literally say it's been maybe 80 plus times I've been asked about where I get my wing.
Oh my god.
80 plus.
Eli, I actually have a question for you. Where'd you get your wing?
I know exactly what you're.
All right,
I thought it was
here. We're
like
cutting
a
out.
legit question.
I thought it was gonna be a real question. I was hyped.
Nah, I knew exactly why. I saw that. I was like, "This man, he's not about to do it." No, yep, yeah, he is. Okay.
Did I do something to you before this podcast? You all right?
No, not at all, man.
Oh my god.
That's gonna put some spotlight on you.
All right. I kind of ranted on for a bit. Let's bring it back to the photography. I actually wanted to ask one last subject for you guys, and it was what not to do as a photographer. You know, whether it's like Cody mentioned, you know, don't turn up your clarity, whatever. But you know, just something that you would say to a beginner or something like that. You know, try not to focus too much on this or
I
whatever.
honestly got a perfect thing, which I still do at least once a month.
Yeah.
Remember to charge your batteries.
Oh,
That's
yeah, that's a
solid.
big thing.
Damn, I didn't even think about that, but I
I
was
always
thinking.
And I have like not even 1% that's on yellow, and I have 3 batteries, which is the worst part. And it's just like there's
None
no
of them are charged.
yeah.
Oh no, that's.
I did that with you, Eli, like that earlier. Like, I don't know if you
Yeah.
remember. It was like
I remember.
we got our shots, yeah, like, but
Still
they-
did it. You know, it was like it was
yeah,
kinda
on one
close.
battery. I got lucky.
Still got the photo shoot done. Still fire.
Mm-hmm.
Cody, let me hear it.
I think I've never personally done this, but I actually have talked with a bunch of owners about this.
Mhm.
It's actually changing the color of the car in post production. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
like I like.
That's my biggest pet peeve.
Yeah, like and I mean this in the nicest way, like, but I see a lot of photographers, and when you're obviously starting up, you like to use presets and everything. But for me personally, I feel like if you start using presets, you kind of get crutched, as well as it can really drastically change the look of a photo. And I don't like, personally, my style is going as very close to what you see in the human eye, you know.
Yeah, I mean, very realistic.
Yeah, very realistic. Not many changes, and I've talked to clients where, like, say they had like this really intricate wrap, and they had like a yellow. It was yellow. They had a photographer give it back to, and like the yellow was like very green, or it was orange. Like it was a distinct change, you know. Or
Right.
like, say you were to have a photographer take your car, and somehow like he changed the hue to where the blue looked like almost, I don't know, red, like yeah, like a complete opposite, you know, like
Jeez.
it's just like it's
Oh,
like
man.
just as a drastic example, you know.
Yeah,
But like
yeah.
everyone knows your color of blue. It's hyper blue, you know. It's from Subaru, you know. But like, and you can see like there's obviously different styles, you know. Like Tyler had a very cool looking shoot, but you could still tell it was that blue, you know. Where like if it like had changed to more like a green blue, then that'd be another story, you know. But it's all about keeping the actual genuine look of the vehicle. Like if you want to change backgrounds, that's fine. Like I know like a lot of people, they maybe like to, you know, desaturate colors, like whether it's like maybe red stop sign, or maybe the trees are too green, you know, but try to always keep the actual vehicle color identical to what it is.
Yeah, I can honestly agree to that, because I do see, I mean, I'm not going to say a name, but I do see someone that I follow, like, they shoot a blue Beamer, and then they just throw the warm contrast Lightroom preset, and then make it look, they literally just make it look like it's almost yellow, rather
I
than
feel like
blue.
they're gonna find out very quickly who you're talking about.
You're
Dom's
a
just
little too
dropping bombs
specific
out here. Dom's just dropping
Yeah,
bombs.
Dom's violence tonight, bro. Like, what's
Hey,
going
you know
on?
what? I honestly, I feel like people are afraid to say criticism, but you should honestly, you know,
No,
That's the thing, yeah.
No, speak up, man.
But I fully agree. Like that's one of my, at least personal, I cannot stand the preset like photographer, and you know, like I even hate to say it, I there's a couple out there that have bigger followings than all of us probably put together,
And all they use is presets.
and all they use is presets. You
Mhm.
know, like every single photo looks identical, like even though it's shot in different times of day and everything.
Mhm.
And you know, it just kind of blows my mind, you know. And if that's what people like, then maybe I'm doing something wrong. But you know, like that's, at least for me, like that kind of takes part of the skill out of it, you know.
Yeah, that's
Right.
the thing. Like, if you're gonna do something like that, like, make it a stylized edit, like, but don't like make it so drastic. Like, don't turn an orange car like green, you know?
Yeah.
Like, don't do anything crazy like that. Like, you could have like variants in like the color and stuff. Like, maybe a red car looks a little bit more lighter orange, not lighter orange, but like more toward orange or whatever. whatever. As long as it's something like crazy, you can play around with it. But if you're gonna go like that far and just like turn like the warmth up or something, or just use a preset for every single photo, like it's not gonna work. Like just
Yeah,
don't
it's
do
gonna
that.
look like you had your white balance off.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly. That's also another thing is people understanding white balance is huge. Like understanding like the different time of day, the weather, how that can all affect just the color of your photos.
Exactly.
All right,
But
perfect.
yeah,
So we're actually wrapping up close to the hour mark here. So I wanted to ask us to transition to the final part, which is I like to give you guys the time to plug your socials. You know, any personal shout outs to people you might want to thank for you getting to where you are now. Dom, if you want to start off for us.
oh yeah. I mean, my Instagram is domproof. I only have an Instagram. I don't really have any other platforms that I really use. I have one on TikTok as well. But I mainly just upload car photos. Every once in a while now, I do like street photos and stuff like that just to switch it up. But yeah, if you guys want to follow me,
For
Do
sure.
it.
Everyone, check them out. Dom Proof, Instagram. Same thing on TikTok, right? Dom Proof.
yes.
All right. Cody.
Yeah, I'm Cody, but all my handles are pretty much. Oh man, so all my handles are Cody Media, pretty much across the board. YouTube, Instagram. Eli dragged me into the world of TikTok, you know.
Yes, sir.
Oh Lord.
But yeah, I do automotive photography, pretty much for any type of vehicle. And if you want a feature video, you could go check out Eli's that I did. I also did, I think, 10 or 13 last year, so hoping to double that this year.
Sir.
Yep. So let me know. Let's do it.
And then my handle for Instagram is jhy.sen. It's Jhysen, but it's spelled different, you know. As far as anything else, like it's just like that's my main one. I have, you know, other accounts for like Twitter and stuff, but like that's all like personal stuff that, you know.
You don't want
Not-
people
nothing-
following you on that.
No,
one
please
knows
don't. No, there's no comedy on that or anything, so there's no point.
Stash on Twitter or something.
Maybe.
Hey.
Keep it low, bro. Edit this out.
All right. Thank you guys so much for plugging your socials and just being on here tonight. I want to thank everyone else for joining me for this episode of the Car Scene Photography. Remember that you can join our guest list by emailing bluebrz here@gmail.com.